Welcome to Voices of Tech and Litigation with your host, Ray Beken. This podcast will broaden your knowledge in the use of technology in business and our everyday world. You can find this show on all the major platforms, including YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and on our website, chorusconsulting.net. Now here's the host of Voices of Tech and Litigation, Ray Beken.
Hey, Brad, how's it going? Glad to see you.
Going fantastic.
Hey, everybody. Thanks for joining. I've got a guest today, Brad White, owner and CEO of Varc Solutions. We met through a mutual friend a while back, and when we're responding to projects from a computer forensics and e-discovery litigation type standpoint, we're always kind of thrown into the fire. And when I was talking to Brad one day, a couple of years ago now, our companies kind of align a little bit because he's more in the, okay, let's get your books in order. Let's make sure everything is in order. We're using the right technology to prevent some issue down the road, because we run into fraud investigations and that sort of thing. Some of his clients potentially might run into accounting issues or fraud or something like that. So I'm not going to steal his thunder and tell you everything about Varc. So I'm just going to let you know that, Brad, introduce yourself a little bit and we'll go from there.
Awesome. Thanks, Ray. Yeah, thanks for having me on the show. Brad White, Varc Solutions. I've been in the accounting and bookkeeping industry, QuickBooks related, for over 25 years. So we focus on small, medium-sized companies that primarily use QuickBooks for their accounting and bookkeeping records. And as a company, what do? We help people do their books. So we take over stuff from them that they don't want to do. We do some of the hard stuff, and ultimately help our small business clients deliver clean books at the end of the year to their CPAs, the folks that do the taxes as well. And from a technology standpoint, I think we're also a little unique in the industry of accounting and bookkeeping, in that we also are a cloud solution development company on a platform called QuickBase, originally created by Intuit, so that's why they use the word quick in it. But develop cloud solutions on QuickBase as a platform. And so we do see a lot of different sides of how businesses are running in using technology, because there's usually an accounting impact to every business process, whether it's invoicing, estimating, managing inventory, you name it. So we get to see a lot. And Ray, in fact, to one of your points during the intro, we do run into some clients that have been embezzled. Somebody has stolen from them. It's IT, our IP theft, as well as like real money theft. And yeah, so part of our job is to help clean that up when people have found it to be in their books.
Yeah, prevention's the best medicine, right? Making sure everything's clean up front, some systems are in place, and that sort of thing. The accounting world has changed a lot from the old days before technology. Everything was kept on books, right? Real books, like paper books, and it's
right.
Evolved to where it is today. Tell me how you guys are adapting to that ever-changing world and QuickBooks and that sort of thing.
Well, the interesting thing about it is accounting itself has not changed in 1,000 years. You're still recording money going out, money coming in, and categorizing those transactions. So the core of accounting really hasn't changed, but it's the tools that we're using to do those books, to record those entries, to run those financials. Those are the things that have changed. What's really helped us, stay up to date, so to speak, with all that is actually avoiding the shiny object syndrome. There's a lot of, new things coming out. We go to trade shows all the time within our industry, and, you go to the expos, and there's 50 new companies that are doing, things related to technology to help not only small business owners, but also bookkeeping firms like us to do things more efficiently. And, some of them are really cool, and some of them are, they're startups. So they're very much in experimentation mode. Um, but what's really helped us stay the course is just avoiding just lurching, so to speak, after all the new technology solutions that are out there, because a lot of them have big promises, but they're not necessarily delivering quality at this point. You just like when you use something like ChatGPT and it says experimental. Okay,
Right. Yeah.
we can't afford to be experimental. With our clients' books, they have to be right. And so we have found, that one, our QuickBooks experts on our team, them actually having eyes on the books and them making the ultimate decisions about how things need to be coded or recorded is ultimately still the best case scenario. But what I have seen is the use of tools, AI related tools, um, other types of software tools that sort of sit on top of your accounting records to help. And that's where we've really seen probably the biggest impact. There's, and by the way, again, I'll kind of just take a step back and talk about QuickBooks because that's really the realm that we live in every day. One of the things that really has changed from a technology standpoint is the migration from desktop installed software, right, to the cloud and the cloud-based software. So whether somebody's using QuickBooks Desktop or QuickBooks Online, we work with both. But what you've seen with QuickBooks Online is a pretty significant um, improvement over the last 5-10 years because of technology, because of the ability to integrate with all these other systems that companies get themselves into, whether it's an inventory solution, an AP automation solution, a payroll solution, what have you. The cloud-based solutions are generally a little bit better because of that integration with banks and being able to download transactions. And one of the things I have seen especially within QuickBooks Online, when you're just doing basic things like a bank reconciliation, coding, credit card transactions, things like that. There's more and more little widgets, so to speak, within the software that you can click on that'll pull up the history of, the last 10 payments for that vendor, for example, so that you can be consistent with the coding. So there's little things like that that we've really taken advantage of.
Yeah. Seems like, to piggyback on that, the online systems are upgraded and bug fixes and things like that on the fly, whereas you have to schedule maintenance and things like that if you're using desktop versions, that sort of thing. Am I off base there? Yeah.
No, you're totally right. I mean, because like even with, when you compare desktop QuickBooks, for example, to QuickBooks Online, if you're in a multi-user environment with desktop software, a lot of times those updates will get pushed down and you'll be like, oh, hey, there's a new update. But generally, everybody's got to get out of the file so that update can happen. Whereas with QuickBooks Online and other cloud-based solutions, it's just getting updated behind the scenes.
Right.
Usually, there's not a disruption to anybody, or if there is, it's between 2:30 a.m. and 2:38 a.m.
Right.
When
Yeah.
nobody's really working. Yeah.
Same as the software world I live in here, for what we do. Well, you touched on AI. Accounting doesn't seem like that's something that's very, to me, doesn't seem like you can throw AI at accounting because of the rules and the rigidness and the black and whiteness of it. Am I wrong there, or is AI being used in your world?
Well, the truth of the matter is people are trying to use it. In other words, there are companies out there that are really, really trying to aggressively tackle that and make it more efficient. So that, I guess the dream world, the dream there is, you just wake up, every day and your books are already reconciled. Every month your books are automatically reconciled and you don't have to think about it. It just gets done automatically.
Utopia.
Exactly. We're kind of that firm behind the scenes that's helping you wake up and realize that they are good and accurate, but it's still real people. But there are technologies out there. There are companies that are trying to kind of like be the Uber of bookkeeping, and really automate a lot of those types of routine tasks. But I think the reality is it is still experimental. You've got one of the most common scenarios or examples that I use is, if AI could do it and it's starting to at very minimal levels, right? Predict, how something should be coded. But the thing is, you go to Amazon, right? And you could buy, a computer, quote unquote, for $1,000. Is that an expense or is it an asset? Okay. I don't know. Could be one, could be the other. Different CPAs might say, hey, there's different limits there. But I think the hardest part is, just because you went to Amazon and spent $1,000, that could be a computer. It could be a couple monitors. It could be office supplies. It could be, an outdoor furnace, for, or, one of those little fireplace,
Yeah.
the smokeless fireplaces, you could have gotten a couple of those. And so the technology hasn't really connected the dots yet to be able to interpret, where you bought it from and how much did it cost, and subsequently, what is it? So there still needs to be a layer of intelligence, human intelligence on top of it to say, yeah, I know what that is. And the reason I bring up that story is because a lot of times we ask the owners, hey, we don't recognize this charge. We don't know what this is. And sometimes the owners don't even know. Okay.
Right.
So to think that, an artificial intelligent engine, so to speak, is going to always get that right is just it is a at this point it is a fantasy. Now, could that be different in 5 years? Yep. Could it be different in 10 years? Yep. But I
Yeah.
think it's still one of those things that, we're, as a company, we're watching. We probably can't afford to be on that bleeding edge of technology, just saying, hey, let's just go and, adopt this and hope it's right. We still have to have those people that are experts, not only in the software, but experts in the accounting, to be able to look at that stuff and go, that's right, that's wrong. And what's interesting too, Ray, is, some of the tools that are there, they wouldn't be, I wouldn't categorize them as AI, right? AI is that you've got just a mountain of data, right, that can be used to predict or interpret future things, based on the history that's within that mountain of data. That's, at least in my, rudimentary definitions, that's what I think of when I think of AI versus just software. Okay. So software, it doesn't have to be AI, but it can still be really, really good. And so, when you look at things like QuickBooks Online and coding, um, you can set up rules. If it's to farmers insurance and it's above, $500, maybe that's your homeowner policy, okay, or your auto insurance policy. But if it's lower than 300, maybe that's your motorcycle policy, right? So if you know what things generally are, right, you can set up some rules so that when the data comes in, it automatically categorizes. That's not AI though. That's just
Right.
software that's using human rules and intelligence to apply it to help categorize and things like that.
Yeah. And maybe eventually you throw that into an AI tool down the road that does pick it up and do it right. So who knows? All right.
Yep.
Well, help our audience get to know Varc a little bit better. Any stories out there you want to tell? Any good customer things that you want to talk about? Just help us get to know you a little bit before we close.
Perfect. Well, so like one of the things, again, I think we are a little bit different than the average bookkeeping company, right? We
Right.
are really, our name is Varc Solutions. So we're all about solutions. We're not just about accounting and bookkeeping, right? And so when a customer comes to us and they're really struggling to automate a business process, maybe they're trying to use Excel, to work through a very intricate process. Excel is not a system, right? It's a tool, right? And so we build solutions on QuickBase. It's a low code cloud database solution to automate those processes. And we do it really, really well. And it's a very adaptable, scalable platform. We love it. I mean, we run our entire business on it. So it's truly fantastic. But what the reason why I bring that up is we get our hands dirty on a lot of different things. We get our hands dirty on the accounting for sure, but we also get our hands dirty on things like payroll, inventory, bills, and bill payment automation. And so we've had the luxury of working with a lot of really, really cool vendors that have developed solutions to help QuickBooks when it can't do something maybe on its own. And so, for example, one of the vendors that we work with is a company called Sin7, and that's the letter CIN and the number 7. And they're a fantastic inventory solution when people are trying to do inventory, and they're also using QuickBooks Online. QuickBooks Online by itself doesn't really do inventory very well. So Sin7 is a fantastic tool. But one of the things that they've done quite effectively, especially in the AI world, is they've created a tool called Foresight AI that specifically is built to help forecast inventory levels. Okay, so this thing just bolts onto Sin7, and it looks at the last 5 years worth of your inventory history to predict quite well your inventory levels, when you need to be ordering, when you need to be maybe marking things down to avoid stockouts, okay, and overstocks. And the reality is, especially with companies that are doing a larger volume on inventory, I mean, you could have $10 million in inventory, and if it sits there because you've bought too much, that's a problem, okay? Or if you didn't buy enough, you didn't make enough, and suddenly you're a supplier of T-shirts to the Super Bowl, and you didn't have enough shirt supply, to be able to make those T-shirts. Now you're on back order for a month, and you've lost sales, right? So their AI tool for inventory forecasting is fantastic, and it really helps make sure that you're not overspending or underspending on your inventory, which literally could save millions of dollars. Okay, so we've seen that really quite effectively. I'll also mention one more example.
Sure.
Being in the industry, some clients will pay us to pay their bills. Okay, so we're going in and coding those bills. The invoices that you get from your vendors that you then have to enter as a bill, pay, and then eventually pay. And so we do that, but we also use tools like Bill.com and another one that we love called Tipalti, and they have had, they've invested millions and millions of dollars on OCR technology, some AI-based type of technologies as well, so that when that bill comes in from that vendor, it's automatically reading it. It's automatically putting in the line items for that bill. And then all we have to do is go in and review it and make sure that it's right. Okay. Queue it up for, the owner or the CFO or the manager to approve it and pay it. And so the good, like I was saying, the cool part about where we are in the industry, since we're positioned as a solution provider, we get to see more than just the accounting. We get to see how these tools are getting used by companies in a real effective way, and then help recommend those to clients when they come to us saying, hey, this is overwhelming and we just can't handle it. It's too complicated, so that we can really make it simple for those folks.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, you're not pigeonholed. It seems to probably make work more fun when you're able to provide more solutions than just a black and white box. Well, cool. Well, tell us how to get hold of you, your contact info, just spit it all out so that somebody needs you and says, I need someone like that. How do you get in touch with you?
Yeah, fantastic. I mean, the easiest way is just to go to our website. It's varcsolutions.com, and that's VARC solutions.com. You could look me up on LinkedIn, Brad White, Varc Solutions. Those are probably the two easiest ways. And then, on our website, we've got our phone number and contact us forms and that kind of stuff. Happy to help.
All right. Sounds great, man. Well, I really appreciate your time. Interesting conversation. And we'll talk again soon.
All right. Thanks for having me.
Thanks, Brad. Bye.
You've been tuning into Voices of Tech and Litigation with your host, Ray Beken. You can find this show on all the major platforms, including YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and on our website, chorusconsulting.net. Thank you for your positive reviews, comments, questions, and for sharing this show with others.